You know, when people talk about Gary sometimes, they describe him as just a big teddy bear.
This big, giant bear of a person.
I was looking at a guy that probably should be a linebacker for the New Orleans Saints.
He was very tall.
I was fortunate enough to meet Gary because I served on the search committee back in 1986-87 to select a new president of United Way.
At the time we hired Gary, and I had a chance to work with him during that first year, I remember telling Jerry Brechtel, his first campaign chair, that Gary's only going to last you about 5 years because he throws so much energy into both play and work. In 5 years, he's going to be burned out and ready to move on. And of course, now we're 27 years later, and he still has that same passion for work and play.
And that passion is contagious. And if you work with Gary, I don't care whether it's fundraising, trying to be a good chairman of the board and running a good meeting, whatever. That passion comes through, and you want to be a part of it, and you want to succeed.
He just stepped right in and became our friend. He's everybody's friend.
Whether he, just went to like a lunch meeting and you happen to be there, if your name comes up in conversation again, oh, that's my friend, yeah, my friend, this, my friend that, and we all, kind of roll our eyes and laugh.
He's a friend to everybody.
Well, without Mary Ann, we wouldn't have the Gary that we have today. She is, as a person as well as a nurse, one of the most giving, caring, concerned people that I have ever met. I just love her dearly.
My mom met these two women who were flying all over the world, French women on an airplane, Coco and Fifi. She invited them back to our house where they stayed for I don't even know how long.
So I think they actually ended up coaching my soccer team. So they became family members for a short period of time. And that's not the only time that's happened. I think my family has a history of bringing people in.
I was diagnosed with cancer right at the time that I was forming the Women's Leadership Initiative of the United Way. And right before the time that I was going to chair the campaign, I said, Gary, I don't know if I'm going to be able to fulfill my obligations because I just got this diagnosis of breast cancer. And Gary said, oh, don't worry about it. You're going to be fine. My wife's an oncology nurse.
She is one of those people that cares not only about the medical condition of a patient, but about the human condition. And she really is wonderful to the family as well as to the patient, because everybody's involved when one member of the family's sick.
Well, I think it's just obvious that Gary was able to do a lot of what he did because he had her support. He was working night and day every time a crisis struck.
I think probably what they have done as a family has been to create a family structure that gives each of them the strength to know who they are, what they are, and to go out and make the world a better place than they found it.
There was quite a few Thanksgivings where we went to the convention center and we provided meals for people who didn't have anywhere to go. And one year, I guess the turnout wasn't that great. So my dad brought my brother and I think my mom stayed at the convention center, and we went out into the neighborhoods to round up some people to come and have a great Thanksgiving and get the word out.
He understands what it takes to be a real parent to his children. It shows in their success.
They have those two beautiful grandchildren. Gary loves to show you pictures of his grandchildren, and he will show you pictures of Ellis, and he will tell you that she was born with ribbons in her hair and jewels on her hands and her feet.
Gary and Mary Ann just love the times that they get those grandkids.
You could not have asked for more extraordinary times than Gary has been through in all the years that he's been with United Way. And I suspect one of the more extraordinary times was Katrina, because that was such a devastation.
It took extraordinary leadership to have somebody rise above his own losses and his own challenges and lead and continue to lead all of the people in keeping the United Way on a very positive results basis.
We had all of our funders, in effect, wiped out. I mean, we did ultimately get also some very generous FEMA money and very generous donations from around the country and around the world from charitable foundations. But Gary had really kind of both ends, in effect, on fire. And you saw him basically be very strategic, very hands-on, go round the clock, whether it's giving out the food donations, the water donations, handling medical needs, and in particular proving it to some of the suburban parishes. But I think Gary proved that whether you were in Central City, the lower Ninth Ward, or whether you were in Plaquemine or St. Bernard Parish, you were going to be treated equally well by the United Way and personally by Gary Ostroske.
Shortly after Katrina, after they set up the FEMA trailer parks, I was driving up the highway and there was a lady walking with a basket of clothes with 3 small children. And I stopped to ask her where she was going, and she was walking some 26 miles to Bellchase to wash her clothes. I gave her a ride, and when we got to the washateria, there was a line around the block. And I called Gary from my cell phone and said, Gary, there's no washer dryers at these trailer parks. I'm going to A1 Appliance. I'm going to buy $10,000 worth of washer and dryers. And he didn't even hesitate, and he said, count me in, I'm going to put up $10,000. Within days, he had people, volunteers, to build these sheds, and we started delivering them east and west bank of Plaquemines. And you could see the joy it brought these communities living in these trailer parks to know that somebody cared enough to move quickly and solve a big problem to them, a small problem, in wake of things from Katrina. And that's the kind of guy Gary was.
If my house took on, 3 to 4 feet of water, his had to take on 8 feet of water or something, where it is. And really, post-Katrina, where we're all focused on the things, all you really heard about was, the job and helping other people, and never really a whole lot from Gary about what Gary's own situation was. And I'm sure it wasn't really particularly good.
We stayed, our house flooded, and we actually had to, we left that Thursday by boat.
We watched the water sort of rising and coming through our neighborhood, and we were all trying to figure out exactly what was happening. There wasn't a whole lot of communication with the outside community, and we just sort of watched the water rise. It started coming up faster, and as it started coming into the house, we quickly gathered what we could and brought it upstairs, and we sat around for a couple of days until we discovered from the people that were flying by in helicopters that it was time to go.
And so they were trying to get from New Orleans, they went across, they're on foot. I mean, they have no way to go where they're going, like everybody else. And so they're on their way, and he got a piece of cardboard from somewhere, and he took her lipstick. She had her lipstick. Every woman wants to be with her lipstick. And so there she was, and she very generously gave it over to him so that he could print in great big bold colors, United Way staff. And sure enough, they needed a ride, and they got a ride.
We've been through, I think, 5 or 6 hurricanes and an oil spill. Plaquemines Parish had 33% of the oil for the whole Gulf Coast. Gary was there many nights in Venice, rallying with the fishermen, seeing what we could do to help. After a storm, you've got to clean up, you've got to get back to work. There were so many unknowns after this oil spill. And Gary's drive to make sure there was mental health people to help these people through their conditions was invaluable.
We were very fortunate that Gary was able to work with the leadership of those other parishes and to bring them into the fold.
What you know with Gary is that what he does and what he stands for is the truth of what it is to be part of the nonprofit world.
I think the United Way has always been a great and strong organization, and it's always had good leadership, but Gary was exceptional because, as I say, he participated at every level, at every meeting, and was not at all hesitant to get his hands dirty and get involved in making the calls and the requests and getting the results.
Yeah, he's definitely put a good leadership team in place to carry his mission forward. So that's one of the great things that he's done, is got a great group of people.
Gary really set us up to be very flexible, very nimble, and just respond to community needs and respond to opportunity. And so I think his legacy is he's laid a foundation for United Way that'll actually truly be a system leader, into the future.
I feel very sorry for Michael coming in because the bar has been set so high. He's got a huge hurdle to get over.
Gary, all of us appreciate and admire you for the service you've given this community, for the strengthening of United Way that you have provided. We can't do anything but wish you well as you go into this new phase of your life. But we have to tell you, you will be greatly missed.
Gary, you are a true leader, and again, we are the beneficiary of having your commitment to come to our community and stay in our community, and hopefully continue to stay in our community.
You've been here really since 1986, and I think that adds up to about 27 years. We asked you for 5, and you obviously liked it and became dedicated to the community. And I love the fact that you've enjoyed spending your time here, and I'm enjoying seeing you raise your grandchildren here.
Mom and Dad, thank you both for your unconditional love and support over the years. Growing up, I knew that I would never have any limitations, and that when I would fall, you guys would be there to pick me up. Thank you, and I love you both.
I'm really so proud of what you've done to touch millions of lives of people in our community.
Thank you for your leadership and support. You know, enjoy your retirement, enjoy every second of it. Don't worry about the community. We'll take care of it for you and hold up your legacy. And don't worry about coming back to work anytime soon. You know, we've got it, and give yourself a few years off. Congratulations again.
We wish you and your family the very best. You surely deserve it. Thank you, and God bless you.
Gary, Leslie, Lubantan Roulé, let the good times keep rolling for you and your family, and may your work continue and legacy live forever and ever.
Congratulations. We love you. You're always part of us, no matter where you go or what you do. United Way salutes you.